Hello everyone, this is Animation 4, and as you can see, I only have 18 seconds to live. And I can see this because, well, there's a number across my screen, and I'm going to die soon, so I am sad. Yeah, so, basically, what I got here is simply put a timer using the new title features in Snapshot 14W21B, which I think title came before this, but it uses the title. And it uses a bunch of scoreboard objectives, and well, this is the countdown timer right here. Just a bunch of command blocks being activated really quickly in sequence with each other. Of course, this is activated 20 times a second, so there's a scoreboard objective so that you only get, so the timer only decreases every other activation of this. But yeah, let's see it in action real quick. All I have to do is set my scores. So, let's say I wanted a timer that gave me 1 hour, 11 minutes, at 11.1 seconds. So I'd say scoreboard players set at P hours 1. And then I would set mins to 1. Or mins to 11, I guess. I would set secs to 11. And I would set deci to 11 for deciseconds, for a tenth of a second. Then just activate all these, and it goes. Of course, the first like 1.1 second went by fairly quickly, so you couldn't really see it. But it'll decrease just like a normal timer, and it'll go down by seconds. You can see the decisecond is the faster moving number. You can see 53, 52. You got hours, and it's all being displayed right here. And the way it's displayed also uses a relative new feature. It's the JSON ability to display scoreboard values, which is again fairly recent. Use score, the person's name. For this case, I just use @p and the objective. So I'm saying, say the nearest person's hours, and then of course followed by some colons, and some decimal point, which looks like a comma. But then I just hit it again and it reset it. Yeah, and I have this button right here to just reset all my times to 0, which of course summons the creeper. And I could just do a simple 15-second timer, which of course the 15-second goes by really quick. And yeah, I'll get into all these commands in just a moment. But say I don't want to die, I'm going to hit the switch. It's going to start counting up, because I have another setup here. This one is for counting down. You can see it's deactivated now. And this one right here uses a lot less command blocks, is for counting up. It does pretty much the same thing, just in the opposite direction. And this one, unlike the other one, you can stop and start whenever you want. So this one stops it instantly. This one starts it from where it was. So it can reset. And say I wanted to time how long it took me to run way down there. Just start running. And just 2 simple command blocks to start and stop the timer. 5.5 seconds. Okay, that's how long it takes to run that distance. And it's just 2 simple command blocks to start and stop the timer. So let's look at this one first. Let me carefully remove this wire without breaking any of the commands. Now the order in which all these commands are activated is extremely random. It's a distinct order, but the order doesn't have any order to it. It's like this one, that one, that one, that one. But they all pretty much get activated at the same time. Now there is a timing score that determines if or whether or not you are being timed. If you're counting down, the timing score is going to change itself to 1 if you have any of the scores set. So if I were to set my DESI score to 1, oh, it's not activated, that's why. But if this were activated, setting my DES score to 1 would give me a timing value of 1. When my score hits 0, my timing value would instantly become 2. Like instantly. So then, I know the timing value of 2, I summon a creeper named Logic, and I set the timing score to 0. So that's how the creeper happens. And the way I detect the timing score, is I always set your timing score to 2. If you have any um, non-zero numbers, like any of the 4 digits are not 0, then you get a timing score of 1. So if your timing score is 0, it'll be set to 1. Next time it'll be set to 2, then set back to 1 right after. So it's going to always say 1 till the very end when they're all 0. And the next thing that happens is the main clock. Well, of course, then there's the update. If your update score is 1, it sets it to 2. Then if it's 2, it sets it to 0. But after, or before it does that, it sets any zeros to 1. So basically, if you're a 0, you become a 1. If you're 1, you become a 0. So all this is only happening on update scores of 1. Just to make sure it only happens every other time. And if your update score is 1 and you're being timed, it'll increase your DESA score by 1. If your DESA score gets to... it'll decrease your DESA score by 1. If your DESA score gets to -1, immediately after, it will... if your DESA score gets -1, it'll decrease you by a second and set your DESA score back to 9. And it does the same thing for all of them. And then it does the title command, which looks like this. Objective hours, objective mins, and then colon, objective seconds, colon, or period, objective deci. And this is all of your scores at least 10, because once your score gets less than 10, it's only a 1-digit number, and the timer would shrink itself in. But that doesn't look as nice as... Right. That doesn't look as nice as if it's the same distance every time. So yeah. So I have 4 commands actually doing the title. One if you have both at least 10, the minutes and the seconds, those are the ones that are variant. One if you have 2 if you have just one, like one for just minutes, one for just seconds. Then one for both, which I think is this one. Yeah, see, :0, :0. So that'll keep the spacing the same. And that's how this one works. It's just making sure that the timing is in order, otherwise your timer would not work how you want it to. The counting up one, I just changed it so it increases decis by 1. If decis gets to 10, it decreases it and goes back down. And it'll only work if your timing score is 1, and I'm not changing the timing score for this one. This is how you actually stop and start the timer. If it's set to going up, and your timing score hits 1, oh, I reactivated that. So they're both running at the same time, so it's kind of broken. Okay, so if I were to say it to count up, and my timing score is 1, then it's going to keep counting. All I have to do is set my timing score to 0, and it'll instantly stop. And for an important thing to note is to get this to work, you have to run title at a times 0, any value, let's say 40, and then any other value, let's say 10. The first number has to be 0, and the second number has to be at least 5, I think. And they are fade in, stay, and fade out. You want it to instantly appear, because let's just do this. Say that, and let's do this. Yeah, you may want that, you may not. It's a faded timer, I guess. See if we can get that consistent. No, I don't think so. If I set it to like 10, then it'd be, yeah. So I guess if you want a faded timer, you can do that. But if you want it fully solid, then you have to set it to 0. And you can't put this with the rest of them because of a current glitch where when you run the times command, it resets the timer on the. When you run the times command for title, it resets the timer on the title. So if I were to do title at a times 0, 10, 0, 1, 0, and then run it. First of all, 1's too short. So you can see it doesn't even appear because it disappears so fast. You can only see it if you're like that. So I guess that's a useful feature. but you gotta set it to at least 5. So then once it gets down to 0, it's never going to disappear, even though it should only be there for 5 ticks. It should only be there for 5 ticks. It's not going to be there for 5 ticks. Break this, and it just instantly disappears. So yeah, that's just a little glitch right now. I'm sure that'll get fixed. These commands just set redstone blocks and block data on these timers. Make sure to disable them and re-enable them as I pull the lever. But yeah, downloading this world from the world videos in the description below will work. I'll put this in a separate world without all this extra stuff here. So this is just my building world. But it's very location specific because all these have to be run in a precise order. And I tried to put this in a chunk corner. You can see I'm at 0, 0, so this is the chunk right here. And same for this one, but it still doesn't do the exact same thing. Because right over here, this one for some reason gets activated before that one. But yeah, that is a incrementing and decrementing timer in Minecraft. Really efficient, really useful, I guess. You can have this do whatever you want when the timer runs out, or you can, I don't know, speed run something. But that is going to be it. You can download that world in the video description below, and thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.